Hello, dear students, and welcome back to another live session here at ODA Class. Students, my name is Mitali Joshi, and today I will be teaching you about comparatives and superlatives. Before we start, let me introduce you to ODA Class as well as myself. Starting off with ODA Class, students, ODA Class is a live learning app for which we have received the most innovative EdTech award. So this platform has been created to be as accessible and as easy to use as possible. And students, along with this amazing platform, you get to learn from very well experienced teachers who are all striving to make education as easy for you as possible. And to this end, students, we have created a course only for you, which is called the Bridge Course. Now, we are starting the Bridge Course on this upcoming Monday, and it is going to be a week-long course. So you will have class from Monday all the way till Saturday. And out of these 6 classes, you will have 3 maths classes as well as 3 science classes, which are all conducted by master teachers like myself. And apart from us students, you will also have access to your own personal mentor teacher. Now, this mentor teacher is going to help you throughout the course, whether it comes to attendance reminders, homework reminders, or solving whatever doubts you might have as you go through the homeworks and the tests and the quizzes and the books that we provide to you for extra reference and for extra practice. Students, if you want to enroll in this course, you can click on the link in the description box below and enroll for the bridge course for just rupees 29. Tell you a little bit more about this later, but for now, let me move on to an introduction of myself. So like I said, students, I am Mitali ma'am. I graduated from Ohio State University with a degree in computer science and engineering. And I am now an English master teacher here at ODA Class. And I'm very happy to be here with all of you and teach you about comparatives and superlatives. Before we get into that, let's first quickly revise what are adjectives, because comparatives and superlatives are both forms of adjectives. So adjectives are words that we use to describe nouns or pronouns in a sentence. Now, if you want to learn about nouns, pronouns, or adjectives, I have done videos on all 3 of these topics in the past, so you can go and look for them on the ODA Class channel. But for now, she bought a beautiful dress. So here we have a noun, which is dress, and we have an adjective, beautiful, which is telling us a little bit more. It's describing the dress to us. So that, in essence, students, is what adjectives do. Now, like I said in the previous video, I have taught you about the 3 degrees of adjectives, as well as talked to an extent about what are the different types of adjectives as well. So you can go check that out to learn a little bit more. But for now, let's move on and let's focus on today's topic, which is comparatives and superlatives. So comparatives are used, my dear students, to compare 2 nouns or 2 pronouns in a sentence. For example, she is 2 years older than me. If I just say she is 12 years old, right? There is no comparison. But she is 2 years older than me. There is a comparison being made between me and her. The 2 nouns or 2 pronouns that are being compared. And we have our adjective, which is helping us do the comparison. So that is the first use of comparative adjectives, which is to compare 2, excuse me, nouns or pronouns. The second use of comparative adjectives is to show that one thing depends on the other. For example, the faster you drive, the sooner we will reach. Students, notice here that we have actually used 2 comparatives. Firstly, we have said faster, and second, we have used sooner. So the faster you drive, the sooner we will reach. The more you study, the higher marks you will score. So once again, when we are trying to show that one thing depends on the other, we can use 2 comparatives in our sentence to emphasize the dependency of these two things. So the faster you drive, the sooner we will reach. Now you might be wondering, how do we use comparatives? So this is going to be our little formula to use comparatives. We start, of course, with the subject, followed by the verb. Then we use our comparative adjective, which means we use the second form of our adjective. So in the earlier example, we read older, right? We have taller, more beautiful, all of these things, faster, sooner. So all of these comparative adjectives are used in the same exact manner. We start with the subject, followed by the verb. We use the comparative adjective. And here's the important thing, students. After that, we use the word than to show this comparison. To emphasize this comparison, we use the word than, and then we follow it up with our second noun, which is going to be the object. So we are comparing these two nouns. We are using the comparative adjective, and we are using this word than. Students, I want you to make a note of this word because there is also one important word similar to this in superlative. And my students in class, they often get confused between the two. So remember, for comparative, we use than. So let's take an example to once again clarify this formula that we have. Firstly, we have our subject, right? My dog. My dog runs. So we have our subject here, we have our verb here, then we have our comparative adjective, which is faster. We have our keyword than, and lastly, we have our second noun, which is your dog, which is also the object in this situation. So remember this formula, look at this example, and try to relate the two. As we go along this lesson, we are going to see lots of more examples and also questions. So I want you to take a note of this formula and try to relate it with all of the sentences that we come across. Speaking of questions, let's do a question now, students. My house is blank his house, and the adjective to be used is larger. My house is blank his house. So we say my house, right? We are comparing two, so we say larger. But students, don't forget that we also have to use our comparative keyword, which is than. So my house is larger than his house. If I was not making a comparison, I would simply say my house is large. But to make the comparison, we use the comparative adjective and we use our comparative keyword, which is than. Moving on to one more question, students. The rock flew blank the roof. What do you think? The adjective to be used over here is high. Once again, we are making a comparison between two. Comparison is between the height of the rock and the height of the roof. So let's use our comparative adjective higher, and we will use our comparative keyword, which is than. The rock flew higher than the roof. So students, comparatives, remember, we have to always use the comparative adjective followed by the comparative keyword, which is than. So now let's move on to talking about superlatives. In superlatives, the comparison is being made between one noun and a lot of other nouns, or in essence, between more than two nouns or pronouns. So it is a one to many comparison. And let's take an example here. Raj is the tallest student in his class. So here, students, notice we have our superlative adjective, which is tallest. But I want you to also notice that we have used an important word here, which is the. Students, if you do not know what the is, it is a definite article. And I have talked about this at length in one of my previous videos. So you can go take a look at that to learn a little bit more about definite as well as indefinite articles. So Raj is the tallest student in his class. We are comparing Raj's height with the height of all the other students in his class. So you see how superlatives help us make a one-to-many comparison. Raj is the tallest student in his class. So let's take a look at the formula as well. We have our subject followed by our verb, which is the same. Then we have our keyword, which is the, right? If you remember, students, in the comparative degree, we used than and we used it after the adjective. But for the superlative, we will use the, which is our keyword here, before our superlative adjective, and then we will follow it up with our object, of course. Let's take an example to take a look at this. My dog is the fastest one in the park. So once again, we have here our subject, we have our verb. Next, we have our keyword, which is the, followed by the superlative degree of the adjective fastest, followed by our object, of course. Once again, let's move on to a couple of quick quizzes. This is blank box I have ever seen. And the adjective to be used is small. This is blank box I have ever seen. Superlative degree, we are comparing this one box with all the other boxes that I have seen in my life. So this is the smallest box I have ever seen. So we use our keyword followed by the superlative degree of the adjective. Let's take one more question now. Rocks are blank stones, but boulders are blank. And the adjective to be used in both of these is heavy. We want to use the adjective heavy in both of these blanks. So take a look at this, read the sentence multiple times maybe, and try to figure out which degree should I put in which of the blanks. Let's start. Rocks are blank stones. So let's look at the first part of the sentence first, right? Rocks are blank stones. There's a clear comparison here between two nouns, so between two things here. So rocks are heavier than stones, but boulders are, what do you think here, students? Clearly, we have made one comparison, and in the second one, we are comparing boulders with all the other types possible. So that is a superlative degree. So here we will say boulders are the heaviest, right? Superlative degree, we use our keyword followed by the superlative adjective. Next up, we have Anu had blank shoes in our group. And the adjective to be used is pretty. Anu had blank shoes in our group. So clearly we are comparing Anu's shoes with those of everybody else in this group. So we just say Anu had the prettiest shoes in our group. Superlative degree, keyword, followed by our superlative adjective. Next up, we have this book is blank than the one I was reading yesterday. Students, this one is a slightly trickier one because although the comparison is clear, right? We are comparing this book with the one I read yesterday. And we also have our keyword that has already been put in for us. But our adjective to be used this time is interesting. And students, I hope that you know that interestinger is not a word. So do you know how we make this adjective into the comparative degree? If you don't know, students, let me tell you. We say this book is more interesting. Now, I will soon be doing a video on how to form comparatives and superlatives as well. So please come back to that. If you did not know that the comparative form of interesting is more interesting. Students, there are lots of adjectives in English that have irregular comparatives and superlatives, whether irregular or whether we have to use more and most, less and least. So come back to that video, students, to learn a little bit more about this. But for now, let's move on to a quick summary of today's lesson. So we learned about two things. We learned about comparatives. Comparatives are used for comparison between two nouns. We are simply comparing A and B. Superlatives, on the other hand, are used to compare one noun with a lot of other nouns. So it is a one-to-many comparison, which means we are comparing A with B to Z, all of them together, right? That is the key difference between comparatives and superlatives. And the second key difference when it comes to using comparatives and superlatives is the key word that we have to use. For comparatives, we use than and we use it after the adjective. Superlatives, on the other hand, we use our keyword the and we use it before the superlative adjective. All right, now students, I know you've had so much fun learning with me. And like I said, let me bring you back to ODA class once again because we had an amazing platform and students, all of us teachers love teaching you all. So, like I said, we have received the most innovative EdTech award for our platform, and our teachers have created the bridge course, which is only for you. We are starting on Monday, and it is going to be a week-long course, during which you will have 3 maths as well as 3 science classes, which are all conducted by our amazing master teachers. Apart from this, my dear students, you will also have your own personal mentor teacher. Now, this mentor teacher will be helping you and guiding you throughout the bridge course. So, whenever you have any doubts, if you're going through the homeworks or the tests that we provide to you, or the books and the modules that we give you for extra practice, all you have to do is reach out to your mentor teacher and they will be there to help you out. To enroll in this course, students, you can click on the link in the description box, go to enroll, download the app, and come to our classes, students. We will have so much fun. And do you know the best part? It's that you get to win coins. You get to earn coins. So we are trying to revolutionize education. And part of that is helping our students build fantastic habits. Things like coming to class on time, things like paying attention throughout class, like answering quizzes correctly. And this is why we reward our students for all of these amazing habits that they have. And once you have collected enough coins, you can redeem them in the ODA Mall for exciting things like a smart water bottle, a smartphone, speaker, etc. Students, what are you waiting for? You can click on the link in the description box, download the app, and come learn with us. And students, if you have enjoyed watching this video, you can like and share this video and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you all, students. I hope to see you in the bridge course. Bye.